Wealth Without Wall Street followers, this is Will DeShazo, your money millinovator, and you are listening to the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast, episode number 2. Would you like to be in more control of your money? I mean, how good would it feel to just always be content and opportunistic when it comes to your wealth? Well, join us in discovering that control today, plus a very thought-provoking story of climbing a mountain. You don't want to miss it. Welcome to the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast, your guide to understanding how to get out of the Wall Street rat race and start your own mailbox money lifestyle. Now, don't let the handsome Southern draws fool you. These financial minds are teaching our country to enhance savings, increase cash flow, and create passive income, all without the help of Wall Street. Are you ready to break through? Here are your hosts, Russ Morgan, Joey Murray, and Will DeShazo. Again, this is Will DeShazo, your money millinovator, alongside founder of Everlight Financial, Russ Morgan, and nationwide real estate financial coach, as well as founder of Blueprint Financial Partners, Mr. Joey Murray, otherwise known as the Stallion. Guys,
nice.
How about it?
Thank you for that intro, Will. I don't know if I want to be known as the Stallion forever, but I'll go with it.
I love the fact that you're the Stallion, Joey, because it's easier for people who are listening online right now to try to envision who is Joey Murray.
Oh, just as long as you say my last name correctly, I don't care what you call me. That's fine.
Murray like puree. We got it.
All right, so guys, I got to tell the story. And right now, it reminds me of I was literally going up the first chairlift in over 12 years.
Oof.
Yeah. I'm in Park City, Utah. Beautiful. Snow's falling. I'm there with my brother-in-law, who was my college roommate. And we're going up the ski lift, and there's these two other guys there. And, I'm just striking up a conversation, mostly because I'm nervous. You start talking when you get nervous. And I'm talking to this guy, and I find out the two guys are ski instructors. And they're like, you hadn't been skiing in 12 years? And you're not taking a lesson, you're just taking this baby to the top. And, of course, as a guy, I got pride, right? I just am thinking, yeah, I got this thing.
Sure.
And so they start telling me this story. And I think this will hold relevance to what we're going to be sharing today is this. They said, we find a lot of guys actually don't come see us. We get their wives typically. And the first thing that the women will tell us when we say, okay, what is it that you want to work on? And I said, whatever it is, I just don't want to go fast. Now, why do you think the women are fearful of going fast on ski slopes?
Who wants to break a leg?
Exactly. You're like, I don't want to hit a tree. I don't want to be out of control, right? He had a great conversation they shared with me. He said, you know what? First thing I say is, well, when you're driving your car, do you ever exceed the speed limit? Well,
absolutely.
Yeah, of course I do, right? And he's like, well, so you're not really afraid of going fast. What you're afraid of is being out of control. Well, yeah, because in a car, I've got a steering wheel, I've got a brake, I've got four walls around me. I feel pretty confident that I'm going to be in control if something were to happen. Well, as we've been talking about in our last episode, the Wall Street mindset, the thing that we're finding is that most of the people are out of control as it relates to their finances. And they will oftentimes say something like, these females will tell these ski instructors that they don't want to go fast, but was really masking that they really didn't want to be out of control. And so I want to get into that today of what is it that's going on that people are doing emotionally and saying that really is masking what they really want or they're fearful of.
That's a great point. Before we move into that, I do want to think what those ski instructors were probably thinking is this guy's about to blow an ACL. No doubt.
Hans and Franz.
So I'm sorry, I just had to add that. But you're right. It's a daily basis that we are having conversations with people about their finances. And what it really boils down to is the emotional side of money. And I think to kind of piggyback off of the Wall Street mindset, there's certain things that we've bought into as it relates to this emotional roller coaster that is Wall Street because we've been told you can't make any sort of return if you don't take risk. You just need to ride out this roller coaster of the stock market's ups and downs and all arounds. You don't have to be in control. Well, does anything else in our life really work like that?
And nothing that I want to be a part of. But going into that even deeper than that, Joey, because I want to break this thing and keep pulling it back. And there's just so many layers. We're not going to have enough room in this episode to get all the way through it. But I'm just telling you, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg on this. Because really, when it goes down to even the deeper emotional part, is why are people making these decisions? Why do they subject themselves to these risks and ups and downs of emotions? Because right now we're looking at a stock market that's at an all-time high, right?
That's right.
And what is everybody out there saying? Buy, 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 because I don't want to miss out, right?
That's right.
And now that we've seen 2 straight downturns over the last couple of days, you got people going, oh, buy more because now you can get it at a cheaper price. And what'll happen is they'll ride it to the bottom. But what's really going on there, what's driving that conversation, is their peers.
That's right.
Is the herd. Is what everybody else is saying they should do. There's this brand, right? There's
That's
this
right.
brand that they have to be a part of. And if they don't, it's just like when they're back in high school. They're not in the clique.
Right. They don't have the right brand name of clothing or whatever. I mean, look, I don't want to necessarily date us here, but I saw something.
It's
the other
okay,
day.
man. You can say what you when you were wearing your kangaroo tennis shoes, man. Come on, throw it out there.
I'm going to say the starter jacket. Okay. I didn't have one. I felt outside.
That is swag right
Come
there.
on.
That is
starter
swag.
was where it was at. And, I never got on that train, but it was constantly, there's this herd mentality, no matter what it is. Is there a great new restaurant? Is there this or is that? And so people want to be a part of what everybody else is doing. Why is it that, I can't open up Facebook without somebody spewing someone else's knowledge or original, quote unquote, I wish you could see my fingers right now. They're in the air, original ideas. And everybody's now a genius because they're sharing someone else's regurgitated information. It's that herd. They all want to be, part of that idea.
Oh, and they don't want to be the first one to go out on the limb. And I can tell you right now, our podcast is about breaking free of the Wall Street mindset. It is breaking free and being willing to do something unique. Because I was doing some research on this, and a lot of you probably know this, but a lot of the purchases we make are like 80% emotional, right? And then the purchases really don't have anything to do necessarily with what the facts are of the actual thing that we're buying. It's more to do with the experiences or what we perceive those experiences to be. Let's take an example. Everybody in here has eaten at a fast food restaurant, right?
Never.
Now, I will say this. We were all slim and trim. We're going to the gym. We're trying to be healthy, right?
We've got a weight loss challenge.
We do have a weight loss challenge. All right. I don't want to get off track. We want to be fit, but yet we've all gone to a fast food restaurant. Who hasn't? But nobody in here and nobody listening would say a fast food restaurant is healthy, right?
That's true.
I know there's that one person that buys the salad at McDonald's, but come on, let's be serious.
That's so McDonald's.
That is so McDonald's.
Jim Gaffigan skit. Make sure you look at that.
Yeah. But the key is that why is it that there's hamburger chains showing attractive men and female models eating hamburgers? What are they selling? Are they selling the hamburger?
Yeah, because if I was eating a burger, I don't think I would attract many people with my shirt off to that restaurant, right?
No, so they're not trying to sell
the burger is not sexy.
The content of the message, what they're trying to say is that whatever feeling you have about the person you're seeing on TV, they want you to associate that with their company. And so they want you to go in there. But yet, if we were to eat that, we would not look like those people.
That is a guarantee.
Nor do those people look like that because they eat there. But
also a guarantee.
See, that's the exact same thing, though. If we bring this back to Wall Street, the people who are buying into the Wall Street mindset, doing what everyone else is doing, is getting what everyone else has gotten. And it's not great results.
Well, and the surface level of Wall Street is so sexy, though, right? That's what people are buying. It's these funds, it's these mutual funds, it's this opportunity that you could have to succeed, and everybody else is doing it. and there's a shot of a lifetime, right? So why would I not want to do that?
Or this tip just came through on this great stock that
Right.
it's going to skyrocket and it's about to go public. And it's been emotionalized through Hollywood. I mean, movies out there upon movies about traders and people on Wall Street that are making all this money. You want to be a part of that story, right?
Oh,
Who doesn't want to?
It's the reason that I got into the industry in 2004.
Wow.
I mean, this is exactly what I thought I was going to be doing. I thought I was going to be this fancy Wall Street trader. I mean, I envisioned myself doing those sort of things. And it didn't take very long. I mean, 4.5 years, I realized that it was a rising market that was the financial genius and not me, right? And that's what sent us on this path. And that's why we're here telling you and hopefully helping you take away from these podcasts just what is behind the Wall Street mindset. And emotion, I think, is a huge key.
Well, and let's break down this control idea, right? We have been bought into, okay, this is where we have to put money, Wall Street, but we're almost inevitably having to give up control. But we've been told there's certain things about it that are actually to our benefit. So we talked about last time diversification. Well, why is diversification even necessary?
Well, I mean, people always tell us diversification is to help us avoid risk, right?
That's right.
I mean, last thing you want to do is have all your money in one basket, right? Then, boy, what happens if the basket drops? All your eggs crack, right? I mean, that's what they're telling us. But that goes against what the best investors in the world would say. Warren Buffett would say diversification is diversifying your knowledge. So if you don't have a keen understanding of what you're putting your money in, diversifying it even more is going to put you in a worse position, not better.
Robert Kiyosaki, what's his expertise?
Real estate.
And how many of his dollars do you think he's got thrown into public companies that aren't in real estate involved?
Very few. And the key to this is that no matter what, our goal is always that we got to be thinking differently, right? We just cannot get caught up in the emotional aspects of saying, oh, well, everybody said I should diversify. And I'm not telling you that you should have all your money in one thing, but what we're saying is that what we believe is that you need to understand everything that you're doing. You need to increase your knowledge. The way you reduce risk is you understand more about what you're doing.
Right. We call that return on information, ROI.
Oh, yeah. You just mentioned Robert Kiyosaki. I mean, I love it. And his book, Cash Flow Quadrant, where he went through and talked about return on information and how somebody can actually increase their return by increasing their information in the things that they put money in.
That's right. What's the old saying that if you know what's going on, you'll know what to do?
Yeah.
It's right in line with that.
Well, so you think about this. Let's keep going down this track here, because what are some other things that we see as advisors, if we've been doing this for quite a while now, that we're seeing that where people feel like they're in control and they're doing it because of the herd mentality, but maybe they're not in control.
Right. So we mentioned this also. One of the ideas is accumulation. Okay. So what are the factors in that? First of all, what do we mean by that? And then what are the factors involved in that? So we've been told you need to just put as much money away and see how big you can get again, I'm putting my fingers in the air, quote unquote, nest egg, right? Everybody needs a nest egg. It's this big, big, big number. Will, you even did a blog on this about what's your number? That whole fallacy of I need to have this huge nest egg. Well, there's a lot of things that affect accumulation.
What's emotional behind that? Just think about this. How many people want to know what their number is? And they start saying, do you know what your number is? And how long will it go? And is your number bigger than other people's, right? And what path are you following?
Right. And Russ, like, since when and who and what marketing genius, I guess, is what I should be looking at. What marketing genius, not financial genius, what marketing genius at one of these large billion-dollar companies came up with the idea of having one number determine, okay, now you're ready to retire?
Yeah. It's the idea that it's just distraction, right? It's getting people to emotionally buy into something they think is what they want, when really it's masking another problem. So we know that the goal of Wall Street is to get your money, to keep getting it, to keep it as long as possible, and to make it as hard as possible to get it back, right? And this accumulation concept just fits right into that.
Plays right into it.
It is the way to continue to grow their fee structure based upon that money. And the longer you keep it, and that number is going to have to keep getting bigger because you're getting older and people are getting healthier. And there's all these other factors that's going to keep changing what that number is. I mean, everybody wants to have a financial plan, right? We have some friends in the industry says financial planning is dead. And we totally believe that. I mean, I listened to a quote earlier today. It was by Eisenhower. He was asked, about all the plan and planning that was done prior to the invasion of Normandy. And one of the things he said is that, after the fact, it's like the plan was useless. Literally, the plan that was created to invade Europe was useless, but the planning itself was indispensable. And that's kind of what I think we're going after, is that how do we create knowledge? How do we create education? And that process is indispensable. But having just this one plan, I'm going to have one number, that's really a useless process.
Well, and Russ and Joe, you can harp on this a little bit more, talking about qualified plans. I mean, think about how much taxes have changed since the Revenue Act of 78. I mean, taxes have changed tremendously, but these plans are stagnant. They are the exact same.
Okay, well, first, I don't want to assume that everybody even understands what you just said there. I'm going to break that down. So there was a Revenue Act in the late 70s, I believe it was 78. That was created by the government, revenue for the government, that allowed for the ability to put qualified plans into action. Means that in early 80s, actually Johnson & Johnson was the first one to enact what we would refer to now as like a 401k plan, where we can put money in pre-tax and defer it. And this created the boom of the stock market. Now, like never before in that time frame, you had people that had access to the stock market on an everyday basis, where normally the person who had a stockbroker, that's not the average person back in those times. And so you had this huge boom. Well, why was those things created? Now if we look back, we go, it was created under the Revenue Act of the United States government. But yet everybody now is thinking, oh, this has got to be the best idea because everybody else is doing it. It's this emotional concept.
Right. But let's think about it for a second in light of control. How do the qualified plans really match up with how would we define control? I mean, if you have no access to money, does control increase or decrease?
To me, it'd be decrease.
I mean, so having access to your money or not is a big factor. What about under when you can distribute that money or when you're supposed to? They actually dictate to you when you have to start taking distributions. At age 70 and a half today, right? That's the age that they've put in there today. But who says that they can't change the rules on that?
Well, and I just wrote a blog on this too, why baby boomers are going to be bust for the market. Because right now we're seeing the front edge of the baby boomer generation just now hitting 70 and a half. And we're going to see these required distributions from these plans that they must take out money. Otherwise, they're going to be subject to a 50% penalty for every dollar that they should have taken out. And we've got to wonder what that's going to do when you have that many people selling and you've got 80% of the millennial generation, which is actually larger, by the way. We're dealing with the millennial coach here, the millennivator.
There you go.
That's right.
He knows that 80% of his peers are not investing in that stock market. So we got a whole other problem there. But here's the thing is, going back to emotion, why have people been sold these plans? Why were they buying Guess jeans when they could have bought Levi's for half the price? It was because they were told that was a good thing. Everybody else is doing that.
Yeah.
And they masked it under this conversation as not touching your money for 30 years is going to be a good thing for you because you won't spend it.
That's right.
Well, and they
you
pitch
can't be trusted with your own money.
They pitch it that way. They don't tell you, actually, I know you're 20 years old. You're just getting started. We're going to sign you up for this plan. I want you to sign right here. What you're going to be signing is the interest earn is going to be just kind of to be determined, as you would say, Russ, TBD, right?
Right.
And also the plan is actually going to be in a penalty phase for 80% of the time. So if you ever need the money, I mean, you can have it, but it's a decent little penalty involved.
You would be a terrible salesperson if you were the one describing this plan.
That's not sexy. That's not the way that Wall Street wants you to view it.
You are not the model eating a hamburger on a Hardee's.
Unfortunately, I am not getting paid millions to eat burgers. Yes.
No, but that's the key, is that there's this emotional thing that they're selling, but the facts behind it is that most people don't really know what's in it. They really don't understand what they're investing in. They don't even know if they really have a return because they've just been putting money in. They've lost track of how many times they've put money in. They don't know if it's worth more than what they put in. They don't do that calculation for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, we're talking about how do these things play in or out of control? We've got so many things that could be changed at the drop of a hat. We don't have control of that. If I said, hey, Russ, you want to put this money in until you're 59 and a half, then you can access it. Well, what's to say that they don't push that back? What's to say that they don't lower the required distribution age from 70 and a half to 65 and a half? And now there's this bigger influx of cash that has to come out of these qualified plans. How will that affect the market? Why did the market just go up over 20,000? We had a new president who's making waves. You may have voted for him, you may not have, but do you want your money constantly in flux like that?
Emotionally, I do not. Emotionally, I'm out of control as it relates to those sort of issues. And I know that right now we've probably got people stirred up and they're going to be like, what's next? And I want you to know in these upcoming podcasts, we're going to cover what we should really be doing. But if you don't understand, I guess, the why behind we're doing this,
exactly,
I don't think you would understand the purpose, because our goal and objective is how do we remove risk from our scenario? How do we put ourselves in greater understanding of what we're doing with our money? How do we improve our financial situations and the family's future? But it's going to have to start with understanding what are these areas like this. And one of the things I would say is, a question I always ask Joey is, when you're climbing a mountain, what should be your objective?
What would most people say, or what would I say?
Yeah, what would most people say? If I said, if you're climbing a mountain, what's your objective?
Most people would say, I want to get to the summit.
You want to get to the top.
Put a big old Crimson Tide flag on the top.
Whoa, hey, easy here. That's fighting words in this place. All right. That is what most people's goal is. Getting to the top is having an X number of money accumulated. But I can tell you what, I've never climbed a mountain, maybe Red Mountain, but I've never climbed a legitimate mountain. But I have talked to plenty of mountaineers who have, and they always tell me coming down the mountain is much more risky than going up it. And when I'm talking to retirees and people entering retirement, the number one things they say they're fearful of is running out of money.
No doubt.
So really the objective is getting down the mountain safely. And our job is to be the coach, the guide, right? The financial coach or guide. Well, I can tell you what, my goal is not to help you get to the top of the mountain. My goal is to get back down safely and get you there with me. And that is going to be the purpose of our podcast going forward. And I want you to think about that, because that's not what everybody else is thinking, but that's ultimately what we're wanting. When I was coming down that ski slope that first time, I was not worried about how fast I was going. I was worried about the fact that I was not in control. And I think going forward, if we can help you be in better control of your money, you're going to be able to produce better results, and you're going to be feeling better because of it.
And on our next episode, that's exactly the can of worms that we're opening, right? We're starting a great 3-week series on alternative strategies off of Wall Street, but in your control. Guys, we'll talk to you on our next episode, episode 3. This has been episode number 2 of Wealth Without Wall Street. We'll see you next time. This has been the Wealth Without Wall Street podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show to break free of the Wall Street mindset and begin building wealth on your terms in places you understand, so that your wealth will never run dry. See you next episode.